For decades now, the battle has raged on to decide what car is the king of the luxury saloon segment, and it's always primarily been between the big German three. And it's also always ended in a dogfight between Mercedes' S-Class and BMW's 7 Series. And if we're honest, the 7er is always kind of lost in the end when it came to luxury. But in the modern day, times are changing. EVs have entered the chat, and now the i7 has firmly annihilated Mercedes' EQS to stand as what I think is pretty much the best electric luxury saloon, staying true to the design and principles of the normal 7 Series, but just battery powered. And in terms of design and interior, yes, the 7 Series isn't pretty, it never will be, but it has made a massive design leap and a statement versus other normal BMWs in the lineup, something that the S-Class, with its same sausage, different length problem at Mercedes, has simply failed to do. And the 7 Series has now also edged ahead in terms of interior, offering options that are unique to it that the others simply can't match. So the 7 Series is now looking stronger than it ever has in the past. And then the other great thing, which is our focus today, is how much better plug-in hybrids have become thanks to our obsession with making better batteries and better motors. And that's where this car comes in, the 750e plug-in hybrid that we're driving today. I think it might be the best luxury saloon that we've ever been able to buy in a lot of ways. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's dive in and check out, is this really the best? It's the new 750e from BMW. So guys, over the last year, I've really understood the value of having a dash cam in your car. Whether it is protecting yourself while you're driving or protecting your car while it's parked up somewhere, or indeed if you're in the UK, bringing down your insurance premiums, having a dash cam is key. I learned the hard way a few years ago. I was out for dinner with my family and I was in my GT63S 4-door and someone drove into the back of the car where it was parked. Had no dash cam, took me weeks to investigate to find the person, which I did. But if I had a dash cam at the time, it would have been so easy. Luckily, now I have the T800 from 70mi. Sadly, this is one of those things that you don't think about until something happens to you. But I've been using their dash cams, as you guys know, for a few years now, not just for videos, but when I've got my own cars, when I've got press cars, to make sure I have that peace of mind. And I have some real world examples to share. Do a lot of night driving, for example, and the lighting on the roads can be terrible, but thanks to the Sony Starvis 2 sensor in here, all the low light elements come out really nice in terms of detail, including things like number plates, which are really key. Again, I was out having dinner a few weeks ago and I got an alert on my phone from the parking mode because something was coming unusually close to the car. It starts recording immediately. I can check the live feed, and then you can check and see around your car what's happening to make sure you're okay even when you're not there. With the T800, you have every angle covered with our front and rear 4K cameras, and now even an integrated internal camera as well. And if you want to avoid draining your car battery, 70mi have got this budget-friendly external battery pack to keep the camera charged up while you're parked. So if you're looking to upgrade your dash cam or get your first one, now is the best time. 70mi are running a Black Friday deal where you get 15% off the new T800. I'll leave a link in the description below for that Black Friday deal. A huge thanks to 70mi for supporting RBR once again, and to you guys for supporting our regular sponsors. Let's get back to the car. Now guys, it might surprise you to know that the cheapest 7 Series you can buy in the UK at the moment is actually the i7, the fully electric version, starting at around about £100,000. That's the same price as the 350d S-Class at Mercedes for a fully electric car that actually just looks exactly like the normal 7 Series. For better or for worse? Probably for the worst, I think, and that's regardless of the power level you choose, going all the way up to the M version. However, having driven it, I would still say that it is the best luxury saloon that you can buy that's fully electric in the market today, smashing everything from Mercedes, Audi, heck, even Rolls Spectre, because this car can go from being just a basic spec luxury EV all the way up to high-tech and opulence like in those type of cars, and in each case at a price point that is not ridiculous for an EV. Now it may sound like I'm selling you one of these. I am not, especially after having driven this 750e plug-in. I believe BMW's new plug-ins are some of the best luxury cars they've ever made, and to understand why we have to do two things. I have to explain to you what's under the skin, and then we have to go for a drive. So first of all, let's talk about what's under the skin. In the 750e, you have their trusty 6-cylinder engine that we find in so many other great BMWs, even their performance ones. And it's the 3-litre turbo engine that is then paired to an 18 kilowatt usable battery that sits under the floor of the car, and a synchronous motor that sits within the transmission or the gearbox. And just the electric power by itself gives us around about 200 horsepower and 450 Newton meters. But the entire system, we're talking just a shade under 500 horsepower and 700 Newton meters, and a really decent 0 to 60 in this X-Drive car. Now the range is an interesting one. This is actually quite a small battery for a big plug-in hybrid, but it still gives us around about 49 to 51 miles. And the nice thing is that this figure is by no means pie in the sky. Like a lot of systems, this is actually very, very accurate. Now, if you want to go even higher in power in a plug-in, you can go for the first M-powered plug-in in the 7 Series, which is the M750e, which gives you around about 571 horsepower, so a lot more powerful. Though I really don't see the point of doing that when this standard one is really just as good. They need to stop with the foreplay and instead just give us a nice V8 powered plug-in hybrid as the main plug-in version for the M car. Now let's talk about the main rival, because the S-Class has a couple of really good plug-in hybrids available as well at similar price points. And there's some ups and downs looking at S-Class. First of all, the benefit of the S-Class is it's got that larger battery at around about 22 kilowatt, which is a similar size actually to what Porsche uses in the Panamera. So BMW losing out here because S-Class gets real-world usable electric range of around about 70 miles, which is significantly higher. However, the S-Class loses massively on the boot space because the S-Class's battery sits in the rear, just above the rear axle, where the boot is, and thus instead of having the 540 litres that you find in the normal S-Class, it has a piddly 350 litres. Our 7 Series has done the packaging much better. Our battery, like we said, sits under the floor. Yes, it's smaller, but you maintain the 525 litres in the boot, which is quite rare for a plug-in hybrid. So in terms of practicality, absolutely smashing the S-Class. The looks is a subjective matter. I do think the S-Class is prettier. I think most of you do as well, but then Mercedes suffer from this same sausage, different length with their saloons, where is it an S-Class on the road? Is it an E-Class? Is it a C-Class? They all look the bloody same, particularly from the rear. And then the interior with the S-Class was worse because then the screen systems it had is shared with everything underneath it and kind of cheapened the entire look of that car because not much else was going on in the interior. The 7 Series instead makes a wild statement in terms of its looks, essentially stealing a lot of the design language, that monolithic design language from the Rolls-Royce family, which of course it is intertwined with. And our spec today, I think, a lot better than the one that we had previously on the channel in the i7. Here we've got Dravit Grey, which is one of the nicest standard BMW paints you can get, with this really strong gold fleck sitting in it. Just for £1,100 is really great. And then that contrasts lovely with our M Sport Pro shadow line trims here on the outside. We've also got the M Sport Pro black brakes, which look great. And then of course, the party trick in the lighted grille. The rear, I think the lights are a bit high, but it's nice that they're traditionally shaped BMW ones. And I think whatever you say about it, it makes a huge statement in the luxury world, the 7 Series. It's kind of like walking down a catwalk and pulling your pants down. People are going to talk about it. Interior is a big win too, where I think for the first time, the 7 Series smashes the S-Class. Now, jumping in the 7 Series, there's a lot of things in this interior that stand out immediately when you get in, and they just set the car a bit higher than everyone else because they're just a little bit different. First of all, you got this interactive light bar, which looks like a gem out of Superman's Fortress of Solitude. And yes, they brought it in other BMWs, but it's the most extensively used here. And it's used not just for entertainment purposes, but also for hazard warning lights, for telling you how the car is charging, electrically speaking. It is quite beautiful. Then you have the massive and unrivaled theatre display, which gives so much, well, theatre the moment you walk in the car. And it's not just those big things, it's also things like the general fit and finish, the material usage. Even in this basic black spec car, or even if you go higher up then to the crazy ultimate pack car, this is a car that is finished beautifully in terms of its materials. And that ultimate pack car has options like the automatic doors, just like a Rolls-Royce, opening and closing either via your key or so many other ways to do it for the driver and passenger. Now this car has a package that's really important and I think you need to get. It's called the Technology Pack, and it gives you goodies like self-driving that we're quite used to, but also something called Parking Assistant Pro. Now yes, this will park the car like most systems do, and it's very good at doing that. You just press the button and it'll find a space around you. But it also does more clever things like this reversing assistant. Now, either it can get you out of a space, say in a car park, etc., or what I found really useful is that you can actually map out a route and it will memorize a regular path for you, like I've done here, coming out of my hard standing into the main part of the driveway. It's memorized it, I don't need to touch anything, it'll reverse out safely, and boom. Imagine that when you've got a more complicated driveway that you need to do frequently, and the car will just reverse out for you. I like little things like this. That Tech Plus pack also gives you the nice Bowers & Wilkins cheese grater on the side that happen to double as speakers. Really nice. Don't forget to get the Technology Pack, seriously. The other two packages really worth considering are the Sky Lounge Pack, which, as it sounds, gives you the massive panoramic roof and the lights in the roof as well, which are cool. And the other one is the Executive Pack, where the theatre screen comes in. The theatre screen must not be underestimated. Come adult or child, it pacifies that annoying rear passenger like nothing else. We have YouTube and Amazon Prime on tap, and it is such a talking point, particularly versus the rivals. And anyone who jumps in this car absolutely loves it and always keeps talking about it. And again, it's something the rivals do not have. Heck, that theatre mode even has its own driving mode to keep things dark and quiet for you to enjoy the experience. Now the rear is pretty cool. It's also intelligent. I've just jumped in the rear. It understands I'm here now. It's 35 degrees outside, and it's decided to turn on the seat ventilation all by itself. I love things like that. And you'll see here on the screen on the side, we have full control over the 7 Series. So for example, we can put on our comfort seat position so we can have the executive seating. Now you'll see the seat in front has started to move forward. So the seat in front is all the way forward now. We've got my footrest coming up right here, looking good. This is the way to travel. Sadly, I didn't get to do any of this because I'm the slave of this household. I am the chauffeur. So this is my first time in 3 months enjoying this. But I'll take it. I'll take it for these 10 seconds just for you guys. Now, not only have we got the executive seating here, we've also maintained the 5 seats, which a lot of manufacturers, again, they don't do that. You'll end up with like a 4-seat massive car, which makes no sense. So this is great. You still have that executive seating, the nice armrest, the ability to lie down in here completely relaxed. Again, this is a serious consideration for that extra 11K. Now, the other great thing that I've had a lot of joy with, a lot of fun with over these past few months has been the BMW app and all the widgets. It's been really useful in giving me status updates on the car in terms of being able to lock it, unlock it, the location of the car, turning on ventilation on cold or super hot days like today. If there's ever any charging issues, etc., I'm told of it. I can see on my Apple Watch as well. That whole side has been really good with the BMW app, and it's why you really should get the BMW ID and save all your details on there as well. It only adds to the whole experience. You can like buy some of the subscriptions which are useful or not get them, totally up to you. It just makes life with a modern BMW that much better. Now, before I go out and I explain to you why in the modern day I think this is the luxury big car to have as a saloon, let's talk a little bit about the LCI facelift that's coming in the future, because there's quite a lot of spy shots of that car now. And BMW are now massaging the design. They've started this new class of cars, as they call it, which will be started by the new X3 and the iX3 and the new 3 Series. And that is then translating onto all of their other cars, like the 5 Series we've seen spied. And now the 7 Series, we can see it has a whole new grille on the front end that's much more inset rather than protruding like this one. Looks a bit more XM-like. They're definitely redoing the lights on the side. We aren't sure, are they going to be still the split headlights or are they going to be a singular light? We can't tell, but our lower splitter seems much more exaggerated on this, which is nice. The side seems pretty much the same, but on the rear, again, new class type rear lights I think you can just about see, and there could even be a light bar hidden within there somewhere. So similar, but moving more towards new class, and that's certainly the case on the interior. Apparently the new 7 Series will have the iDrive X interior, which was previewed in the new class cars recently. This interface replaces the traditional gauge cluster with a heads-up display that spans the base of the windshield, and additionally a central touchscreen for everything else, and then no iDrive controller. I suspect your powertrains are likely going to remain pretty much the same, though I expect some updates taken from the new class technology like batteries, etc., moving to cylindrical batteries to then flow into the 7 Series at that point. But that's a matter for the future. Let's talk about the 750e today. Now look, the combustion 7 Series is a great car. The 740d, that's not sold in the UK anymore, but is sold in other territories, has more pure mileage than this car does, vis-a-vis diesels being great. But it is then just a one-trick pony. Similarly with the EVs, we know how much range anxiety we have, how little the range is in reality. So those are also a one-trick pony. I think this plug-in is going to do the best of both worlds with pretty much little to no downside. Let's take it for a drive and let's talk about it. Hybrids. So why do I think hybrids are just better? Well, the answer to that is pretty obvious. With a hybrid, as the name says, you can either have your EV mode when you need it, or you can have your 6-cylinder and your ICE mode when you crave it. And both of them pretty much without any downsides that you would normally associate with those technologies. Now that sounds really obvious, but plug-in hybrids in the past have been rubbish. They've had small batteries with negligible range and just end up being a tax write-off for some corporate jerk-off, right? That's not the case with the modern hybrid anymore. With this car, even though it's got a relatively small battery, you're still getting 40 to 50 miles of actual real-world range. Now to a lot of you, that's not going to sound a lot, but the proof in the pudding is in the eating. I've had this car for 3 months, I've done 1,500 miles, 1,100 of those, 72%, has been electric only, which is absolutely brilliant. And look, that's huge. And that's not me being a car journalist just theorizing. That is actual usage of these last 3 months. That's why I like to take some cars over longer periods so I can get you guys the actual results. Now look, if I was doing those miles in a normal 6-cylinder 7 Series, I'd probably pay around about £300 on top for those extra 1,100 miles. Whereas in this, I've paid a couple of quid per fill up at home, which probably would amount to around about 60 to 70 pounds at the end. So a lot of fuel saving for what's the downside here? There's no downside. It's a better car in electric mode for most of its duties. And imagine you're doing that, not paying for your bill, you've got solar energy at home. It just becomes a bit of a joke. It's free driving. Now, EV mode in this, if we head into personal, is just like any other plug-in hybrid. We've got that 200 horsepower, 450 Newton meters. It never feels quick, and it's never hindersome in its, in your daily usage of just using the EV mode. The nice thing is with the BMW plug-in hybrids, it's just a press of the foot and then immediately the engine turns on pretty much without you realizing. That point has been a bit of a point of frustration for me, because it's really hard to tell when the electric is being used and when the engine itself is being used. You can't even see it clearly in the driver zone. I think that's by design. I think they just want you to get lost in the driving experience rather than worry about which propulsion power is being used. But I like to see what is delivering the power for me personally. What you can set, however, is for your driving modes to prefer electric where possible, and I've set that up in here. The other cool thing that this has are E-zones that you can set up. For example, city centers in all your major cities, where the car will prefer to use electric where it can, and then instead you're using the hybrid or the combustion power elsewhere. That's really clever, and I like that feature. And then your EV mode is just like driving the i7. Like I said, the best of both worlds. You've got the i7 in this car. It's quiet, it's cosseting, it's nice and measured in its power delivery. Yes, it's not mad fast, but you never really need that in a 7. The recuperation is handled on auto and it's adaptive. You can change those settings, but it's a pain to go into it in the system, which is a bit of a shame. But apart from that, it's the perfect luxury car, I feel, in electric mode, where it's just smooth, and that's what I'm expecting of a wafty 7 Series. Then you can just go into my modes, go into sport, everything turns BMW M coloured, and your wonderful 6-cylinder comes to life. And it sounds really good in this car. Now, before I get onto the driving element in sport mode, my God, are the My Modes thing annoying. because they're kind of driving modes, but they're kind of not driving modes as well, because they're lifestyle modes. And for example, I could go into personal and it'll do a bit of electric if and when it wants to. I can go into sport and I can actually change the driving settings within sport. But what the heck are these others? What's expressive? What's digital art? What are these? Sometimes they affect the driving modes. Otherwise, they rely on your e-drive mode settings. It's very confusing. And I'm used to cars like these. Like, I would just prefer normal driving modes. And if you want to have your whole ambient light theme, call it a themed mode. Don't mix that in with your driving modes. That has been a point of a lot of headache for me. And I'm used to these cars. For those of you who watched the i7 video and saw how horrific the expressive driving mode sounds, like something out of, I don't know, Dolby Digital or something, that still exists in here, despite that this is a plug-in hybrid. I just don't get these mind modes. I will stick to sport. Honestly speaking, Mercedes does the whole driving mode thing a lot better. You've got electric, you've got battery hold for your electric stuff, then you've got hybrid and sport for full power, and you use the paddles to change your recuperation. Simples. Anyway, you go into 6-cylinder mode. Like I said, that lovely engine comes to life. It sounds great in this car, just like it does in all the other BMWs. It's powerful. You've got almost 500 horsepower in this, and it feels potent. It sounds lovely. And you won't get that in the i7. You know, this is, again, that best of both worlds. Yes, you can do the whole electric side when you want to, but then you've got a lovely BMW inline-six on the other side as well. And what's nice is, despite it being a big old heavy car at 2.4 tons, it's still a fun car to drive fast. It's still the 7 Series, which has always been the sporty one of the luxury cars. You know, it's got good control over its body, roll, the steering stiffens up a little bit. It's actually, weirdly, fun to drive fast. But that's good, because I kind of expect that of the 7 Series. I know it's a big boat, but given its history, it's always had that sporty edge. And it's nice that even in this heavy hybrid, it maintains a lot of that when you're driving fast. And yes, while I've had a moan about the My Modes, what is nice is the ambience that they give the interior, whether that's our gem light bar here, or even our roof at the top, which has the lights through it. It just does add something at different times of the day that really makes us feel premium. Driving assistance has been so brilliant. I just leave it on, it drives itself. That paired with the heads-up display giving you information, and in fact, your driver zone in front giving you great information in terms of how the car is following the road in front, the person in front of you, even at night. All of that has been brilliant, and that type of information for safety, and just, it's cool to look at, is really useful for a driver. And speaking of driving at night, our twin stage headlights literally make nighttime day. And again, they've been such a great comfort element of driving this car at night. Now, as we said, BMW no longer sell the pure combustion car. They only offer this plug-in and the fully electric i7, and I think they've done the right thing here. A, it's the same price as the pure ICE cars from their rivals, as we said, but you do get the best of both worlds. I mean, what is the thought process now behind getting an i7? Other than the tax breaks, I don't think I could justify that car to you guys. I mean, what is the reason for buying it? You could argue, you know, climate change and saving the world in that sense, but look at my usage in this car. 72% electric only, even with that little range. I'm doing brilliantly, okay? And that's without charging a massive, monolithic, probably environmentally unfriendly to charge giant battery, right? Let's be honest about this. I can't justify a fully electric i7 versus this. Yes, I still think that the LCI could use a larger battery. Why not? Why not go up to 25 kilowatt usable? It'll give us that much more range. We'll bring that percentage up of usage for more people who perhaps don't do as many short trips as I do. But look how much electric I've already used. Look how much money I've already potentially saved. This is great. But I am really happy with my ratio between combustion and electric. And I said when I drove the Rolls Spectre and when I reviewed the Mercedes Maybach EQS that for me, luxury in an EV isn't about the speed. All EVs have speed. To me, ultra luxury in an EV is about having more range than anyone else, because that is the thing that inconveniences the driver the most. That's the thing where you add luxury. Now those cars, they have limited miles, 200-ish, okay? This will blitz the i7 for pure mileage, and that, to me, is luxury. And thanks to this great marriage of battery and motor and the 6-cylinder engine, not once have I had any of that typical anxiety that is so intertwined with EV ownership, and neither have my passengers. In fact, for them, they can just fold down the theatre screen and relax. And for the driver, that 6-cylinder engine is right there whenever you want it. Plug-in hybrids are the way to go for luxury cars. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of RBI. If you have, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.